I am your host, Matteo Guthrie. This is my co-host,
Zachary Cote.
Together, we make movies sometimes. So, Zach, how have you been?
I've been pretty good. Working on this podcast. Had some fun uploads last week. I retroactively edited a bunch of shorts for it, and then posted shorts that I wasn't able to post originally for their respective episodes, because originally YouTube shorts could only be 60 seconds, and I had a few shorts that were like a minute and 5 seconds, a minute and 6 seconds, and so I was able to retroactively post all of those old shorts. So if you've seen a bunch of shorts from this channel that were from like really old episodes, that's why. So I've been busy with the podcast. That's been good. And kind of the subject of today's episode, been busy with a little micro short that is finished.
First movie of the year.
No, first movie of the year was Hypnagogia.
Technically, yes, because that's when we finished it. But it's the first one we shot this year, and that's important.
That is true. I don't know whether to be happy or not, because it is April.
Yeah, so speaking of, like, we're through the first quarter of the year. How's it been going for you? Other than, buying a house and a car and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, just getting settled into, like, a new routine, new job. That's been the main thing. Luckily, I'm remote, so I'm able to like kind of manage my time better. If I'm in an office in person for 9 hours a day plus commute times, those dishes pile up and then the laundry piles up and then you kind of have to do everything when you get home, and that can kind of take it out of you. So the work-life balance has been really good. Been happy about that. Getting into that routine, trying to, trying to stay creative while also being a good worker.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So yeah, how about you?
I've been feeling creatively inspired for the first time in months. I have started on my my new this year's feature script. So
yeah, it's funny. I saw your Instagram name change.
And,
you can explain that to the audience if you want.
So every time like you can change your Instagram handle, right? So it's like not your like actual handle, but like just like the name, which is great for whenever you're like chatting with somebody, like that comes up as like your name in a chat, not your actual handle, which always messes me up. But to keep myself accountable, I always put like at least a code name for whatever project I'm on in the Instagram title. So when I'm scrolling something, et cetera, I will see the title of the project I'm working on. And I'm like, hey, instead of spending time looking at like car builds on Instagram, maybe you should instead go work on your feature screenplay that you're supposed to be doing.
That's brilliant. That's a little life hack for you guys.
Yeah, it's just guilting myself a little bit. Every now and then I'll do it with my Discord status as well. But I often talk about projects on Discord, so it's kind of a wash. If I'm there already, I know I'm going to be there instead of writing my screenplay. But
yeah, that's really funny. Do we want to talk about why I was talking to you on Instagram today?
Oh,
because I thought that was really fun. So a buddy of mine, he used to collaborate with a lot of our films, and he DM'd me on Instagram and a post from Shitty Rigs. And if you don't know, Shitty Rigs is an Instagram account. They post really bad camera setups that are not, let's say, OSHA safe.
Definitely not OSHA approved.
Yeah, and
not always cameras either. Sometimes it's like lighting rigs that have no business being alive, much less working.
Or lighting rigs without sandbags.
Exactly.
But they posted something from one of our short films,
an
from
older
like
one
2020.
of our short films, Somniac.
Yeah, which is funny. I don't know why it took them 3 years to post that, but I guess our friend Jesse had like sent that to them like a while back, and then they just decided like, oh, we can post this. So that was really funny.
Yeah,
I did not expect to see that today.
I've officially made it now. I've made it to Shitty Rigs, so like
it is kind of a rite of passage, actually. I've talked to other people who've made it on there, and it's really funny.
What can I say? I'm proud. It's like I've like watched my child take his first steps.
Except, speaking of being proud, I'm proud of us because here on the channel we talk about like just go shoot a movie, go make one, no excuses, use what you have, and we've been kind of busy, to be fair, especially with our feature film project
and buying a house.
We decided to and buying a house and blah blah blah. But we decided to put our money where our mouth is and make a micro short. We didn't plan on making a micro short this weekend.
No, it happened, which that's the best sort of micro short, just one that happens.
Right. And you guys are going to get to see it today, and we're going to break it down and walk you through the process. And also highlight the writing process of the film, because I understand that you wrote the film in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it was. I was there. I challenged myself a little bit, which I thought was fun. But before we get into that, a couple things. Zach, what inspired you this week?
Lots of things. The weather. My fast car.
Yeah, it's been windy.
Severance, I guess. I'll throw Severance out
there. Yeah, it's good.
It's a really good show.
How far into the show are you right now?
I'm 2 episodes from the final episode. So I'm really close.
Season 1 or season 2?
Season 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what are we celebrating?
I do not know what happened. I did this, and it went. Wait, did I say celebrate?
Celebrate.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I don't know how that. Anyway.
Anyways, yeah, it's a great show. I mean, I think it deserves a lot of the hype it gets, especially for like the visuals and whatnot. I will say, I'm not used to watching live action television, and there's just a way that modern live action TV shows are written that it's almost as if they're written for an audience that's also scrolling on their phone while watching it. And so that kind of bothers me a little bit. There's a lot that it just overemphasizes, and it's like, yeah, I get it. I know the point. Like, let's get on to the good stuff. And I do feel like hour-long episodes, as someone who likes anime, right? Hour-long episodes are really, really long. One episode of Severance is longer than our first feature film. So,
yeah,
there's times where I'm like, man, I feel like this would be a better movie. And I know I'm probably in the minority there.
You definitely are. I fully disagree, but go on.
Yeah, I mean, I have thoughts about it. I'll talk to you about them later, but I do really enjoy where it's heading, even if it's a bit melodramatic and not the way I would have written the show. But what's inspiring about it is I'm learning my preferences. Like, I'm not saying that the things that the show does that I don't like are necessarily bad or objectively wrong. But I'm realizing, like, oh, I would have much preferred if the show was from this perspective, or if it emphasized these themes, and if it did this and this and this. And so while watching it, I'm kind of in that input-output. There's always that tension there that we talk about. I'm realizing my own creative voice, which is good.
That's you've got to like consume to understand many times.
Right.
It's important for young filmmakers to, in some ways, ape styles sometimes. I call it pastiche when I'm being generous, but the kid that's like, okay, oh yeah, you're just making a Noah Baumbach film, but worse and kind of stupid. And it's like, yes,
bring that up, and I know exactly what
you know
exactly
who I'm talking about. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, like you have to do that. You have to begin to take from directors, from great artists, what you like, and leave it behind and craft your own artistic framework from that understanding.
Right. Well, with that being said, that inspired me. What inspired you?
What's funny? A really good organ performance. Sunday morning.
That'll do it.
Classic hymns, just blasting. And I'm sitting there like, man, like I walked out of this organ performance and I'm like, I am ready to like do things, which is weird because I woke up early to go to this, for the early service. And I'm like, well, cool. All right. And I've done a bunch of work. I've worked on that screenplay. I've worked on this kind of concept for a limited TV series that I'm cooking up with a friend of the show, Roz. So it's like, I don't know, something about it really sparked it in me, and I put together a lot of stuff really fast that I've been putting off for like a month now. But I'm there. Maybe it's the fact that there's more sunlight now. I'm not sure.
Honestly, that's what it is for me.
I just need to move to the equator, clearly. Well, you've heard what's inspired us this week. Now, it's time for a brand new segment on the show, The News. And now, the news. Industry experts report that box office earnings will likely not hit $10 billion this year. Looking at my own bank account, I know the feeling. IMAX and AMC just announced they'll be bringing IMAX with laser to more than 80 locations in the US. I hope to see GPS-guided IMAX following shortly. The pickleball documentary film Dream Breaker has been picked up by Turner Sports, True TV, and Max. I hope to soon see follow-up documentary efforts in the form of Buying a Rivian and Taking Your Screaming Children to Local Brew Pubs documentaries. Lastly, former YouTubers and the creative duo behind Talk to Me have unveiled the first trailer to their new film, Bring Her Back, proving that making a career out of YouTube videos can lead to great things, like fighting another guy in front of a crowd waiting to see Logan Paul punch KSI. This has been the news. This has been the news. What do you think? Really bad opening for the year kind of killed like a lot of good films.
Yeah, tell me more about that. Did you watch, what was it, Mickey 17?
I'm seeing it Friday, right? Which maybe that's my fault too, that I'm not going out and seeing these films. I was busy over spring break, but like Mickey 17 came out over spring break and it's pretty much flopped.
Dang.
And it, after Parasite, Bong Joon-ho is basically like the Hollywood golden boy of, foreign filmmakers.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of, I don't know. It's sad. Like I want it to be good, and I hear it's really good from all my friends who have seen it, and then it's just not making money. I don't like.
Yeah, that is too bad. Sometimes though that'll happen, and then it'll make its money like post-release, or like people get into it later on.
I think that happened with Mandy. Like a lot of people like Mandy, but I don't recall it being particularly successful in theaters.
Yeah, happens to them all.
Happened to The Nice Guys, which is such a great film and has a cult following.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously there was a lot discussed there. The one that really stuck out to me was the IMAX laser technology.
Yeah.
Does that matter?
I mean, so my understanding is that IMAX is just like a brand name. Just because you're seeing a movie in IMAX doesn't mean that it's like in the IMAX format, like large format 70mm film.
Yeah, you were trying to get me to go to DC to watch Oppenheimer on like proper 75mm.
Yeah, and that would have been totally worth it because the size of that theater is like, it's almost like a planetarium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's huge. We have one at the Science Museum in Oklahoma City, and they'll screen movies there. And that's like kind of an IMAX theater. But IMAX is just a brand, so it's kind of like they own like audio video technology, and if some of that technology that they own is there, they'll call it an IMAX theater, but it's not necessarily like 70 mil, it's not the same thing. So it's been a while since I've looked into that.
I guess my question is like, there's all these places with like, here's the latest and greatest like experience in a theater. And I'm like, does that really matter? Because I'll go to these indie theaters that it's not even a real theater, like Rodeo down on down across from like Flashback in Oklahoma City. Like they have two locations, one of which is like a proper old theater down towards like the Stockyards area, and then they have another one in what we call Film Row, and it's like going in there, it's really just sort of stadium seating with a bunch of like reclining couches in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is like great. And I'm watching films there and I'm having a great time. But like, it's basically just a room you put couches into with like slight stair steps. Like it's not a purpose built theater like you'd go to a megaplex. And I'm having a great time.
Right.
And then I'm going to see movies at like some of my other local indie theaters that are basically just auditoriums that also happen to have a screen in them and a decent sound system. And I'm having a great time. Like, as long as you meet, like, a certain level of sound and video quality, like...
Sure.
Like,
which is easy to achieve, because most people watch shows on their phone and iPad and, like, AirPods.
Or they watch them with, like, a Bluetooth sound bar, which is, like, fine.
Hey, don't knock the Bluetooth sound bar. I swear. Dude, the Bluetooth sound bar is like a LED panel light. I view them in the same way, because they're both, like, really cheap, but very effective for what they do. And if your options are either have one or don't have any solution at all, I'm going with that 1x1 panel light. I'm just saying. That's what the soundbar is for me.
Okay.
It's really effective. I'm just saying.
I mean, I used to install them. I know they work. I'm just,
Like, it's an exponentially better upgrade than the built-in speakers on your TV,
I'm just
it's
saying,
just not
you
even
can
close.
Also just like buy like a nice used set of speakers from whatever your manufacturer of choice is.
Could do that.
And a receiver. And you're out.
But is that necessarily better? Like, it's just kind of like,
it is necessarily better.
Yeah, but like, is a panel light worse than like a tungsten, like 600 watt?
See, that's a slimmer, because like they both emit light, right?
Sure. And our speakers both emit sound.
Approximately the same brightnesses, and perhaps the LED has more controllability, right?
Essentially, yeah. That's kind of how I see this. It's like the convenience.
The Bluetooth it doesn't have more controllability. The Bluetooth has less.
I mean, the volume, what more do you need?
See,
there are sound
that's
profiles.
The problem with society these days. You don't appreciate.
I know, you're right. Mind. Consumers can't vote with their dollars because they all don't know what's good. Yeah. They have no taste.
The Amazonification of sound systems.
Yeah.
But in a theater, sometimes I feel like, people talk about like IDX or whatever, where they kind of project part of the screen like onto the walls on the sides. And it's a lot of that stuff. I'm like, I don't know if this is really necessary to a proper movie-going experience.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that the laser thing is just higher resolution.
Yeah.
Like laser projectors are higher res. But at the same time, like there's been this debate in filmmaking circles for a long time about whether or not resolution even matters. And like, oh, your favorite movies are shot in K, downscaled to 2K, which is just HD, and they look fantastic. So like, why do you need to shoot in 8K on your Canon EOS R? Like, that seems unnecessary.
Because
but it does seem like the future
is... It.
I mean, it's definitely a choice, but I could see that. Like 8K deliverables for theater.
I guess, I definitely like the option. I had the missed opportunity, because God hates me and nobody wants me to watch The Prestige by Christopher Nolan.
You haven't seen that?
I did watch it. I did finally watch it, but it took me 10 years. Every time I would try to watch it, it'd never get me past the first scene.
Jeez.
It was like I was watching it and it got taken off Netflix while I was watching it once.
Get a VPN.
I'd go to a friend's house and they'd be watching it, and then something would happen and they'd stop the film. Or we'd have to go do something. I never got to watch it until recently. But I had the opportunity to go to a friend's house, and he had a nice home theater set up with a 4K Blu-ray, the whole thing. It was really good. And of course I got what happened was my wife locked herself out of the house, so I had to drive an hour home to go do that, let her back in, because I'm not leaving her out in the cold while I
tell her to come by and finish the movie with you.
The reason she didn't have her keys is because a friend picked her up, and then she forgot that I was leaving to go to my friend's house to watch The Prestige in 4K. So I didn't get to see it. But my point here is that in watching, getting the opportunity to, I was like, yeah, I would prefer this to not. But at the same time, there's not a lot, it has to be a lot for me to go, oh, I'll pay $5 more per ticket to see something in a nicer resolution versus the standard theater experience.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it matches the bare minimum of what a good movie theater experience, good sound, surround sound, whatever.
Yeah, I could see that.
1.
But theaters have had that for a while.
Yeah,
so.
Theaters have had that for a while. I think they've had that, to my knowledge, for as long as I've been alive, or at least as long as I've been going to movies.
Yeah.
I can't remember of the last theater that didn't, other than one time when I was at a theater, and I don't know if it was the actual film, the copy that they were screening or what, but for a good 20 minutes, the front right was going out. The speaker was going out, and I was only getting basically the front left and center, and it was driving me crazy. But that's
weird.
That's an exception to the rule, as long as the film is basically competent. I don't need to spend more, and I don't know if all these investments into this new technology that's totally going to grab the crowds, and they're all going to come flooding to the theaters because their Netflix can't do, their Netflix on their home TV can't do this. I just don't know if it's going to pay off.
Yeah. We'll see. I hope it does, because I think theaters are the best places to watch your movies.
Yeah.
They just objectively are. It's there's no distraction. It's just you and the movie.
I'm there all
can't
the time.
Even really go up to pee. You can, but you'll miss part of the movie.
Well, that happened with the only movie that's happened to me recently with that I haven't already seen was Oppenheimer.
Yeah, dude, Oppenheimer was rough. I had to pee so bad.
In theaters, it was I've seen longer films and I've had to use the restroom more during those longer films, but Oppenheimer is the one that broke me, and I just had to go and just unfortunately
I didn't miss anything
a good 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I think I timed it well. So there's just some people yapping,
Yeah.
I didn't miss the scenes that people really talked about.
You didn't miss the bomb explosion.
No, I know someone who did, because they also had to pee. It's damn, dude, that's tough.
Come on, man. You couldn't have chosen a worse time.
Yeah, but oh well.
Well,
alas.
This has been our protracted discussion of the news. Now, for another segment, this is your cinematic primer. Roll the footage. When it comes to great movies, we all have our blind spots. Maybe you've never seen a Jim Jarmusch film, or maybe you need to get up to speed on what Greta Gerwig is all about. No shame in that. Today on the Mateo Zone, we'll be tackling one of my personal favorite directors and the king of style over everything, Wes Anderson, and the 5 movies you need to watch to understand him and his work. Today, I pitch you these 5 movies that make up this week's cinematic primer, The Royal Tenenbaums. This isn't Anderson's first film, but it's the most emblematic of his early work. In this, you'll see a thematic through line that makes it the way into the rest of his movies, all the way to the present. It's a quirky family drama tackling love and secrets in the lives of a family of prominent New York intellectuals. Next up is Moonrise Kingdom. Anderson really pulled himself out of a slump in this era of his live-action work, rocketing himself in a new, even more stylized direction. It's a drama about 2 troubled preteens who decide to run away together and live in the woods, and the complications of the hunt to find them as a historic storm looms on the horizon. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Though Moonrise Kingdom gets much of the credit for revamping Anderson's creative direction, Fantastic Mr. Fox really got the ball rolling in a animated sense. Adapted from the Roald Dahl book of the same name, it stars a crackerjack cast and a stop-motion animated story about fatherly insecurity, coming of age, and foxes in the henhouse. The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. This list could have just been 4 films, but The Life Aquatic is one of my favorites, and so I had to sneak this one in here. Though critically panned, the movie holds the key to understanding Anderson's shift in style from a more naturalistic, if symmetrical approach to the whimsical hyperstylization of his later and current work. The movie's a fun romp full of lost sons, estranged wives, and ocean-faring pirates, and a story about a dysfunctional documentarian and his hunt for the shark that killed his creative partner. Finally, The Grand Budapest Hotel. For many, this is the Wes Anderson film, seen as his magnum opus and the film that set the tone for the rest of his recent work. If you're going to watch one film on this entire list, I might not class this as the best introduction, but it's certainly a must-see. It won 4 Oscars after all. A story about love, loss, and a hotel concierge wanted for murder, all orbiting around the titular Grand Budapest Hotel. This has been the Mateo Zone with your cinematic primer to Wes Anderson. Now, back to the show. I hope you enjoyed that. What do you think, Zach?
I really liked it. I think you should do more of these. Yeah. I don't know. Let us know in the comments whether Mateo should do more of these. The Mateo Zone.
Yeah, everybody loves the Mateo Zone. Well, let's finally get to our topic, Zach. Wes Anderson aside.
I know you would love for the topic to just be Wes Anderson, but
I could go
we got to move on.
Wes Anderson.
We got to move on. So yeah, we made a movie over the weekend. We had planned on just like hanging out.
Yeah,
which we did do.
We had planned on hanging out, maybe actually recording a couple things for the podcast, and instead we just ended up doing a movie.
Yeah, which I'm glad we did. So, be spontaneous. If you only got 10 minutes to write a film, that's the only amount. That's all you need.
That was a self-imposed deadline. I sat down the computer when Zach's got his phone going, and I'm like, oh, you're filming on a phone all year this year, so like, why not? Let's really jump into that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're setting up, and I'm like, 15 minutes. Give myself 15 minutes. I did in 10. 2 pages, really short. Based on, actually, the inspiration for this film was my wife's a big Bravo TV girl. She's into the whole reality TV, Real Housewives, Vanderpump Rules, etc., etc. Say what you will about reality TV. They sure have interesting people on there.
Yeah.
And as she talks about this and was like, oh, well, this person's in jail now. This person cheated on his wife. This other person also cheated on his wife. This couple cheated on their boyfriend and girlfriend, respectively, together, and then got married, and then he cheated on her. What a surprise, etc., etc. And I was like, man, like, these are some, like, properly, like, psychotic people that I'm sure the network amplifies their personalities, but, man, these are some really, like, pretty terrible, deep down people that I guess we tune in to watch every week and let into our living rooms. And that's really the inspiration for this film, for me. I don't know if you want to talk more about your inspirations for the film, Zach, because you were both starring and sort of director of photography for.
Yeah, that was a weird balance that I'm going to have to figure out for, if I act in other things. But I think I just have control issues. I have to have the camera a certain way.
I was ostensibly behind behind the camera, but I
Yeah.
was not familiar with running camera from an app that's not like just like your normal iPhone photo app. So like setting the exposure and everything was a bit, I'm like, where'd the menu go, Zach? So he'd have to come back around the camera and do things for me. Yeah, it was that was an interesting workflow that we'll talk about in a second. But
Yeah, there were times where you would set up a shot and then I'd be like, no, completely different. Move it across the room, low angle, not high angle. And it is what it is. I'm an auteur. What
yeah,
can I
it's
say?
an auteur just like Wes Anderson.
Yeah. Well, had to bring it back to Wes Anderson. Everything comes back to Wes
Everything
Anderson
comes
with
back to
Mateo.
Wes. This entire podcast. We should call it the Wes Cast. Get rid of your next film.
Yeah. Every week is a cinematic primer about Wes Anderson.
This is the title I came up for the film in exactly 15 seconds. This is Innermost Thoughts.
What'd you think?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah?
I thought it was very fun. Again, I wrote it in 10 minutes. We shot it in a day, really half a day.
We shot it in like 2 hours.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I have to be home for dinner. It was a lot of fun to shoot. It was nice to just sort of get back at it. We have a really good workflow, you and I, so it was very easy, honestly. Really, the hardest thing to do was in the garage in the dark with for some reason I just could not get focus on that the starter button of your car. It was fun, just exploring sort of an image-obsessed guy who is actually tortured by his more antisocial tendencies.
Yeah.
A reverse Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, very much so. It was very fun to act in it. I haven't acted in anything since Somniac. So, that was a long time
Man,
ago. That was like
yeah,
4 years ago.
knocking the rust off.
So
So
I did
Zach,
enjoy that. But fun fact, I reused the same titles at the end of all of our films, and
mhm.
I almost shipped this movie with you as the star. Because I wasn't even thinking about it. It looked correct. I'm like, yeah, filmed by Zach, starring Mateo. Yeah, yeah,
I just had major facial reconstructive surgery really quick. That's all.
yeah. It'd be funny if I had the same thing done to look just like you. We just flipped.
Grow out a
That's how we
mustache, a bit
solved
of
the
a
I'm tired of acting in
scruff.
every film. So it's like, okay, we'll just
Yeah, there we
swap
go.
bodies. Freaky
Zach,
Friday it.
question for you.
Yeah.
So initially, and whenever the behind the scenes for this film eventually comes out, we talk about doing this in black and white because black and white, especially for such spur of the moment, off the cuff film, it's really easy to just coordinate all the colors if the colors are gray, white, and black, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about doing black and white. Talk to me more about why you chose to actually end up doing this in color instead.
So I'm kind of moving in that direction generally. Like a lot of our films for a while have been in black and white, which has been fine. I really like the format for a lot of the reasons, like some of them you already mentioned, like it's easy to coordinate. It makes your films look really cohesive. And, it's a look that just,
Well, yeah,
it
it's
just pulls everything
timeless
together.
even.
And obviously you can do that with color as well, but it's a lot harder. Getting a consistent color grade that looks consistent from shot to shot is really difficult because every scene has different colors because different objects are in the frame.
And on top of that, like even a competent color grade, you can look at it 5 years later and go, "What was I thinking? This is so dated. It looks exactly like it came from 2020 or 2014,
Right.
that era of YouTube filmmaking, whatever you want to say."
For sure.
Well, black and white, it's like, yeah, that's a black and white.
Yeah, yeah. And it looks good forever, for the most part. Like I have seen bad black and white films, that were done amateurly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Like a lot of color stuff. I've seen old short films and everything was like, for a while, everyone did this like warm color grade where everything was like rusty colored.
Mm-hmm.
That was bad. I'm glad we don't do that anymore.
Remember
But I wanted
the
to.
greens when everybody
Yeah.
did there's T-Rex arms, which like they sell holsters and stuff. They like have continued that, like it's 2013. We've all seen that one Call of Duty game, so like everything's vaguely military is like green tinted everywhere all the time.
Or just like muted. That was another thing.
That too.
But I want to move more into color because I'm, to be honest, getting kind of bored of black and white anyway. So I wanted to do this one in color, and then you were like, "Are we gonna do it in black and white 4:3?" And I was like, "Well, I was thinking of doing it in color," and you were like, "But black and white 4:3," and I said, "Okay."
What can I
Well,
say
then I
you
got into
can't?
the color grade, was playing around with different looks, and I really stumbled into this one. I'm really happy with it.
Yeah,
It's
it
kind of
looks
also
gorgeous.
greenish now that you mention it.
Yeah, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, I like
Not
it.
in a
It's
Call of
moody.
Duty Modern Warfare 2 way.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. So I did it because I wanted to.
And it looks good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, it heightens, especially with like stuff like the oranges and the towel, the way that those colors play off of each other. It really heightens the overall effect of the film.
Yeah, I think so too. And I didn't even tell you that I changed my mind until I sent it to you.
Yeah, you just sent it to me. I was like, well, that's good. No
Yeah.
nuts.
Also, all of it was shot iPhone, baby.
On an iPhone.
And honestly, like the iPhone is just really impressing me. Like I'm never upset when I shoot something on iPhone. Like back in the day, when iPhone photography and videography was getting more popular, I tried to make like my iPhone 12 mini work as a video camera.
That.
I tried a bunch. Like I really wanted that to work. And every time I would shoot on it, I would just be disappointed. I'd be like, well, it was a missed opportunity. I should have shot it on my actual camera.
Yeah,
because it would have looked better
on whatever camera you hadn't sold yet.
Yeah, well, yeah, whatever camera that would have been. Could have been a lot. But yeah, I was always disappointed. And now I'm not. Now it's like, I don't regret shooting this on an iPhone. I don't regret the other things that I've shot on iPhone, doing it on iPhone. I just think it looks great. It's there.
So my biggest challenge of the film was the iPhone just getting when we talk about shooting on iPhone, what I'm really used to is just the actual native iPhone camera app. I have the Blackmagic camera app right now.
Mm-hmm.
When I was shooting in around 2021 to 22, I did a decent amount of trial and error with my mostly new iPhone, and that was really my thing. And I was like, yeah, I can get around on this, but I wasn't using the Blackmagic camera app. I was just using the point and shoot iPhone. The exposure was whatever it decided it was, and I could kind of try and click around for the focus, but that's about it. So learning my way around this was probably my biggest challenge. But Zach, what was your biggest challenge on the film as an actor?
Let's see. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. Like, I think I told you this, but before we started making it, while we were still writing it, I was like kind of nervous. Like, we're throwing ourselves into this, and I have no idea what to expect. I don't even know what it's going to be about because you were writing it while I was lighting shots.
Yeah,
And
he was
funny
setting up
enough,
shots.
you wrote the film so quickly that I wasn't even done lighting the first setup. So
I think
pat
you just
yourself
need to
on the
get
back for that
faster.
one.
Like
I
8-minute lighting
apparently
setup. Like get moving.
no. What I need are some battery operated lights, battery powered.
Oh yeah, that was a challenge. Stringing
Yeah.
like 2 extension cords to the living room.
Yeah, and just an aside, I'm so tired of plugging my lights in, guys. It's 2025. Everything needs to be wireless, Bluetooth. Just throw up a light. Yeah. Anyways, I need some battery powered lights. I need more of them because they're great. This is battery powered.
Yeah, it
Looks okay.
It's got the form factor of a flashlight, which threw me off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. But challenges. Let's see. Acting was really fun. I remember I took a while to get ready. I don't know if you noticed, but part of the reason for that was because I got in my costume, which was just a white dress shirt and slacks and dress shoes. And I just kind of stared in the mirror for like 5 minutes and just making faces in the mirror, trying to figure out like, who is this character? What am I trying to do? How, like, I need to see myself doing it.
Yeah, you got the script 5 minutes ago and I wrote it in 10, so the script has existed for 15 minutes at this point.
Right. I did end up coming up with something like there were certain mannerisms that this character does, and I was like, I'm going to roll with that. I showed them to you, and you seemed on board with them. We played with them a little bit. So that was really fun. Just getting into that headspace and like doing actor's work was pretty fun. The other thing I will say is, what was the other thing? Yeah, being an actor's actually kind of hard.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Believe it or not.
Because there were things like you were asking me to do things and I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I need to see myself doing that. Like I really need to work on those like micro expressions and like having that control, just that like facial control. It's really hard. There was a shot that got cut from the film because it just looks like I'm smiling the entire time. And I wasn't trying to smile. I look like I'm smiling, but I'm not smiling. So that's going to take some work, but I'm looking forward to doing more little projects.
Honestly, for me, I thought the directing would be a bit more challenging because for the past, I'd say maybe 3 years, for the most part, much of the directing burden has been on you, Zach. Like I'll step in and I'll like correct an actor or do something with your permission. I'm like, Zach, if I may, and you're in DP mode, so you don't even hear me. I'll be like, can you do a little more like this? Can you give me a little more like this? And I'll but then I'll step back. But I never really had to like, even for a micro short, move project from point A to point B as the full director.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's also mostly because I'm starring in half of these. Regardless, directing it, I thought I was going to be like, oh, am I rusty or whatever? And other than maybe some questionable framing devices that I was using that you had to run behind the camera and correct, like honestly, I was pretty happy. I do feel like, and this is as somebody who's just basically wrapped up the final stages of a feature film, a micro short like this is so nice because like at the worst case you wasted a day playing around and honing your skills. Oh no, right? I didn't come out with anything usable. Honestly, if we wanted to sit in that edit for the film for another day or two, we could really hone it into like I could give you a bunch of like little edits and like do little tweaks and go all full Wes
Which
Anderson
we can still do.
Which we can still do. We can still do that. Maybe whenever it comes out as a solo thing, it'll be the director's cut. But like the sunk cost fallacy is like a big thing for a lot of these. Like you're like, oh no, I can't bail now. I've spent 8 weeks on this film. If like I don't finish it, like that's totally wasted. Even if the project is kind of doomed. But on a micro short like that, it's like, oh yeah, I spent like 2 days on the film.
Right.
I spent 10 minutes on the script, right? Oh, it turned out bad, whatever, right? I was experimenting. I learned from this. And like, it's so low pressure versus shooting a feature, even, as short of a feature as we shot. There was so much more pressure. And I was like, oh yeah, I love doing quick and dirty little films like that because like, oh no, it's a bit crusty. It's a bit rusty. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's
no,
fun.
I totally agree. It definitely is easy in that way. Like there's not a lot of pressure, which is fun. It makes it more fun. But
it allows you to flex your creative muscles more, honestly, because you're not bound up in like, well, what if this is the wrong idea? You can just kind of flow with it.
Yeah. And what I like about it most is that And this is why you should make your micro short today.
Do it.
Yay.
Dude, make your tomorrow. Yeah, I wrote a script in 10 minutes, so can you.
Yeah, what's your excuse? No, but I like the instant gratification, like of seeing a project through from beginning to end in such a short time period. That feels really good. That's super fun. You know, I've learned from our feature film, like, oh man, it is hard to like hone in on a project for so long. Like that's tough. I like it's not even like a work ethic thing, because like it's definitely not that. Like I love long shoot days. Not everyone does, which is why we've had to pivot.
You have been honestly the most dedicated to just putting in the time on a shoot of anyone I know. We've had many crew members like about halfway
complain about it.
Like, hey, can we go home now?
Yeah.
And Zach's cracking the whip like, no, we're going to light the scene.
Yeah. So we've definitely moved on from that because, yeah, like I remember Somniac with those 14-hour days. That just isn't sustainable for a lot of people unless you breathe and eat and sleep and all the things they say about
overtime.
Film. Yes, or are paid overtime. And even still, that's hard. So, like, I like putting in the work, but, like, I don't know what it is. It's like, if you're working on just one project for such a long period of time, I just feel like you get bored of it. But I don't know if it's that. I just feel like there's no payoff. It takes forever to get to the payoff. So I don't really know what it is.
You have a lack of milestones, and that's why a lot of people put so much like, whoa, we've wrapped on day 15, you know, like they like really go for it, because without those milestones, we've wrapped on, you know, unit 4 or whatever, you know, second unit. We've wrapped on everything for that. They've like really put a lot of stock into that because it gives them a sense of accomplishment that, oh yeah, we're not going to see any sort of fruits of our labor for this film other than, you know, dailies for like another 7 months at the very least.
Which would be fine if you just like showed up to the shoot days and then were like done after that. But it's hard when you don't get that payoff and you're also editing the film and you're also like wrapping up and tying up the loose ends. And then you're like, oh shit, I need to go record Foley. And so I'm like banging pots and pans in my kitchen. Like doing that for a long time after wrapping is like also just, it's grueling.
Like, oh, and then you're like, oh, I need a reshoot. And you're like, does this project ever end? Like even when it's ended, has it really ended?
And we've been preaching this for a while.
Yeah.
On the podcast of like, it's better to write and structure 12 narratives versus one, you know, so do it for a bunch of small ones versus like one big one. And for us, like we took that leap and it was an appropriate time, I think. But like at the same time, like I don't know, maybe we could have made like 18 micro shorts in the amount of time that we made this feature. Was it worth it? Kind of.
So there was this one summer where I wrote an entire web series for us, and we produced some of our finest work in that summer. We produced Choose a Wagon that summer as sort of a run-up to the web series that never happened. But for the longest time, I was trying to recapture the creative spark of just, you know, sometimes every day, maybe every 2 days, writing an entire short film and sending it off to you and getting notes and rewriting and then sending it off again. And
yeah, remember when we used to have rewrites?
Yeah, remember rewrites?
Yeah, we haven't done that in forever. I literally just roll with whatever you send me.
Hey, I mean, it works for the most part. Normally, what happens with the rewrite is that we'll get on set and we'll be shooting, and Zach's like, I don't like this, we're gonna change it. And I'm like, okay, well, I could have, you know, done it
before
a second ago, or even worse, it'll have to get cut in the edit, and then I see my baby that I even like I have to, you know, throw it out with the bathwater, as it were. You know, the last project we really put in the hours on, other than obviously the podcast, but the last creative project was Somniac 3. #Hypnagogia, slip of the tongue. The last project we really put in that creative energy on was Hypnagogia, which is great, and I love it. But I also wrote that script about a year ago. And I've written scripts since then, and I've put together things since then. But to actually make and then complete a short that quickly, it was nice. It was refreshing. It reminded me why we did this, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for forcing me to do it.
You're welcome.
And vice versa.
Well, speaking of forcing people to do things, are you ready for your homework, Zach?
Yes, give it to me, please.
So, we've talked about making films and how you need to make a film and you need to go make a film, but you should also watch films. Just like Zach's watching Severance, and it's building his personal style and he's understanding more things. For this little segment, we assign each other, and you if you want to, which you should, one film to watch, and then we'll talk about that next week. We promise. So for this week, it's the Ridley Scott movie The Last Duel. It's a movie I've been thinking about watching for a long time, but I figured if I'm going to force you to watch a movie, I should force myself to watch a movie too. So I'll buckle down and watch it, and I will let you know my thoughts on the film next week. Bit of a film club segment here.
Yeah, and so you better watch it, or else it's going to be spoiled for you.
Yeah, we're going to
in
totally
next week's
spoil
episode.
it.
Nothing we can do about it, except maybe put in a little timestamp to skip to the...
It's been out for several years now. If you haven't seen it...
It's not that old. 2021.
It's 2021?
Yeah.
2025. It's been out for 4 years. There's been a presidential
That's not that long. That's not that long. That's like people... Like, I was listening to a thing, and they were like, don't spoil what Redbud means in Citizen Kane.
Gosh.
And they were like, well, I mean, I think everyone that's gonna watch it has watched it.
5 years is like soft spoiler, and then like 10 years, I'm like, I can do like a hard spoiler. 20 years, you're on your own, right? Unless
I disagree.
There's special cases. There's special cases where it's like for example, with, I don't know if you've seen The Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up.
Good movies. Like the twist to that, which by the way, everybody knows the twist to that, but I'm not going to. I won't spoil it for you guys. The twist to that is pretty important. I feel so. I won't generally spoil that unless somebody's like, "Yeah, spoil it."
Right.
For me,
Or Fight Club.
No, I'll spoil the end to Fight Club.
Really?
Yeah. Brad Pitt has abs in it. That's all you need to know.
I mean, that's the only reason
That's the twist. Brad Pitt has muscles.
Yeah.
But also, at 20 years, like, why haven't you seen it unless you're just new to cinema? At which point, I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, like that could be the case, or just like there's a lot of movies out there, and you're not going to get around to seeing them all. But maybe eventually.
Your father, like in Star Wars. Like, even if you're new to cinema, you're just going to pick that up by osmosis.
That's fair.
At a certain point.
Not every movie's quite that, though.
It depends.
You know what I mean?
But for
and this
the
has
most
been
part,
spoiler talk with Mateo.
Yeah,
and
this
Zach.
has been spoiler talk. Complete rabbit trail.
I'm really sensitive to spoilers. Spoilers can really hurt my enjoyment of something. I would prefer, like, movie trailers just never exist. I don't like them.
That's fair.
They're not necessary. Joel Haver hates them.
I mean, the trailer itself is, I don't know.
It gives stuff away. Like, the movies that I've watched blind were some of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a coincidence. I don't know why.
I prefer to watch movies blind, but it often does take a trailer to like really pitch me on a film sometimes.
That's what's hard about it. That's what's hard.
It's marketing. It's a commercial. I think there's good ways to make trailers and there's bad ways to make trailers.
Right.
The Batman versus Superman trailer, horrendous. Why are you giving away the big twist of the movie, the big villain, in the first, minute of the trailer? It's a terrible idea. At the same time, like, Christopher Nolan makes his trailers where I believe it only has scenes from, like, the first act and maybe, like, the first half of the second act.
Yeah.
And then nothing after that.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about that on the show, actually.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the podcast. Go listen to our other episodes. But this has been Your Next Film, where we talk about spoilers, making movies.
And Wes Anderson. You forgot
so much Wes
You forgot Wes. Well, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of Your Next Film. Go out and make a movie. We really do mean that. We know you can do it.
It's so simple. We did it like half a day.
Yeah. I mean, you keep saying half a day, but I mean, not even.
Not even. A quarter of a day.
Like a quarter of a day, yeah.
It did take me a while to drive up there, so if we count commute time, half a day.
Or if we count the time where we're just hanging out and watching the latest cut of our feature film.
True.
If you count all of that, it's a quarter of a day.
Yeah. It's part of the creative process, Zach. You can't separate that.
You're right. You inspire yourself with your own work.
Well, I've been Mateo Guthrie.
And I've been Zachary Cook.
Go make a movie. Like now, like in 2 hours.
Wait.
You got 10 minutes on the script, no more time. 5 minutes on the script if it's a short one.
Also, if you do make a movie, please visit the link in the comments of this video. The comments? The description.
The description.
Visit the link in the description of this video and submit your film through a little nifty web form that we have. And if you submit it, we're going to feature it on the show. And if you don't do that, we're going to keep showing our own films, and maybe we'll get desperate and start stealing films off the internet to watch and learn from. Because,
don't
we
make
think
us sad.
It's valuable.
Send us your film. I want to see your films.
And if you don't, I'm going to be really sad.
I'm going to start resorting to piracy. Well, this has been
your film. We're going to review it. We did it like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we want to do more of it. So please.
Well, this has been Your Next Film. Go make a movie. Go watch The Last Duel and join us next week for our hot takes on Ridley Scott's Knights film.